I never thought my worst nightmare would come rolling down my own driveway in the middle of the night, but that's exactly what happened. Karen Spruce, the queen bee of our HOA, had her 16-year-old son Ryan try to steal my truck, my Betty, with her whispering orders through text messages. The kid nearly got away with it until my kill switch cut the engine and left him stranded under a streetlight with the state attorney listening in. But let me back up and tell you how it all started. My name's Tim Miller. I'm a mechanic, a Navy vet, a husband, and a father. But to understand why this got under my skin so deep, you need to know about Betty. She's a '99 Ford F-150 gloss black with chipped paint and scars that tell her story. I rebuilt her piece by piece in my garage, sleepless nights, busted knuckles, and more than a few beers. Betty's not just metal and bolts. She's history. She's family. So when Karen, our brand new HOA president, leaned over the picket fence one afternoon and told me Betty would be the perfect birthday gift for her son, I thought she was joking. She wasn't. Her smile was sharp enough to cut glass when I told her Betty wasn't for sale. That same day, she called the cops on me, said I was harassing her at the fence. I was standing there with a sponge in my hand, washing the truck. The officer handed me an incident number and left. Karen, all sugar for the body cam, told him she cared about standards. Right then, I knew I was on her list. And once you're on Karen's list, there's no getting off. A week later, cops came out to demonstrate how thieves were stealing cars using relay boxes. They showed me just how fast my truck could vanish. 10 seconds flat. It chilled me to the bone. My wife, Deborah, and my son, Phil, were on the porch watching their faces tight. Karen's SUV, rolled by slow phone, held high filming like she was documenting a crime scene. That's when it clicked. She wasn't waiting for random thieves. She was planning her own heist using her kid. So we turned our house into an outpost. Deborah set up cameras, GPS trackers, microphones. Phil wired a hidden kill switch right into Betty's fuel pump tucked inside an old cassette tape in the dash. And me, I sat in the living room with Navy binoculars pointed at the Spruce house. We weren't living in a neighborhood anymore. We were living in enemy territory. Still, there were moments I doubted myself. Sitting in the dark, listening to the refrigerator hum, I thought, maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe Karen's just a nosy neighbor, not a criminal mastermind. My son should have been doing homework, not rigging anti-theft systems. My wife shouldn't have to turn the kitchen into a command center. I remember whispering to myself, maybe I should just sell the damn truck. The thought burned. Betty wasn't worth my family losing sleep, was she? But then I'd look at Phil. Quiet, focused, steady hands building a safeguard against a woman who thought rules didn't apply to her. I realized if I caved, I'd be teaching my son that bullies win. That was the moment I chose to fight back. And sure enough, at 1:47 a.m. one night the trap we set snapped shut. Two figures in hoodies crept down the street. Ryan and some buddy of his, just like the cops had warned, one circled the house with a relay amplifier while Ryan went straight for Betty. I watched through the binoculars, my pulse hammering. He opened the door, slid inside, and in seconds, my truck roared to life. My truck rolling off my driveway under someone else's hands. I can't describe that feeling. Rage, helplessness, fear, all tangled up. But I let them go 20 feet right into the perfect light of my cameras. Then I whispered into my walkie, "Now, Phil." Click. Betty died mid-roll, silent as a coffin. Ryan stumbled out, panicked. I closed the gap fast, Navy training kicking in. Pinned him down. His phone buzzed on the ground beside us, screen lit up with a message from Mom. "Is it done? Do you have it? Right?" There was my smoking gun. The cops rolled in quiet, just like they'd promised. Davis and Reed bagged the evidence, documented every detail. Deborah handed over camera footage. Phil gave them the kill switch remote. It was an airtight case. For a second, I thought it was over, but Karen wasn't done. 2 days later, a tow truck the size of a house rumbled up to my driveway. The driver had a work order signed by none other than HOA President Karen Spruce. Reason: abandoned junk vehicle. Betty was sitting 10 feet from my door, clean engine tags good until next summer. Karen marched up in her pink suit, pointing at my truck like she owned it. For a moment, I felt that old helpless knot in my stomach again. But then I leaned into the driver and said one word: evidence. His face went pale. He tore up the work order and drove off. Karen screeched about community standards, but she just handed me another weapon. That's when Investigator Alvarez from the state attorney's office called. She wanted me to bait Karen into incriminating herself. Play scared, pretend I wanted out offer to sell Betty cheap. My stomach turned, but I knew she was right. So, with Alvarez recording on the other end, I dialed Karen. My voice shook on purpose. Karen, I just want this over. My wife's wrecked my son's, scared the cops are all over me. I'll sell you the truck for $500. Silence. Then that syrupy voice I hated. Well, Tim, that's a reasonable solution. My Ryan was just being impulsive. The tow truck was a clerical error. And there it was, her confession. The trap was set for the final act, the quarterly HOA meeting. Karen strutted in like royalty, flanked by her board. She listed outstanding property violations and zeroed in on me. I raised my hand, calm. Since it's my truck, may I respond? She gave me that thin smile. I turned on the projector. The wall lit up with the footage Ryan sneaking up, unlocking Betty, sliding inside. Gasps filled the room. Then the dash cam, his pale face, the truck rolling, then dying. Finally, the texts. Is it done? Do you have it? Karen snapped. She shrieked about slander, about me harassing her family. And in her fury, she admitted out loud on the record that she ordered the tow truck. That was all we needed. The doors at the back opened. Officer Davis Reed and 2 detectives in suits walked in. The whole room froze. Davis unfolded a paper. Karen Spruce. I have a warrant for your arrest issued at the request of the state attorney's office. The look on her face gone was the queen bee, the smirk, the power. She was just a cornered woman, small and trembling as handcuffs clicked behind her back. Neighbors whispered, shocked. Tommy, my bathrobe-wearing Crocs sporting neighbor, just stood there with his jaw hanging. Alvarez nodded at me from the back. It was over. And that's where the story ends. When someone abuses, power twists rules, and thinks intimidation is stronger than truth. Don't let them win. Document everything. Hold the line and remember bullies only rule until you stand up.